There's a reason I use the F9. It's the F9. It's a random. We have random information here. See this ran between? There's a reason, and I'm going to hit F9, and you can see there's some movement here. What's it all about? Well, we're going to determine if an invoice is paid or outstanding and using F9 and functions like the absolute, the if function, and be able to come up with an answer. Brad Williams, Excel Prime. Here's a case of where absolute value makes sense. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to determine if an invoice is paid or outstanding. The easiest way to try to explain this is you have a total outstanding. This is accounts receivable. You have accounts payable, or total versus paid. And what we want to do is take E minus 416. If you take 0 minus 407, you're going to have a negative number. Well, that could be bad or not. If you get rid of this absolute value, what's going to happen? You're going to get a 407. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe that is a better indicator than absolute value because you're looking at current balance. Depending on your internal structure or whoever's doing your books, maybe negative 407 is a better indicator than an absolute value that shows current balance. A negative 407 to me means it's owed. But a positive 407, and when you're in a hurry, might mean that you don't know. There's two conflicts here. One, the timeline. What do I mean by that? That means you could set up a parameter here as to when a deal is, in this case, we can't. Usually we could set up a date. If this is just saying if paid, dates 1/13/2029, date due, we have a date due. Okay, if it's due, that's how we determine whether it is in arrears or not. Paid, open, and then we have this other overdue. Okay. So we can, what we do is we incorporate this. Well, here's the date. It's 1/13/2029, and the due date 1/10/20. If it hasn't been paid, then it says open. And at what point do you say it's overdue? F6, if F2 is less than C6, which is here, it's open. Otherwise, it's overdue. So do we have anything past 1/13? That's overdue. So why is this not due date? Okay, so we would need something less than, here we go. 1/15 was the due date and it's outstanding. So there's two components here. One is, do you want absolute values? That's just a choice. And all we're doing is E6 minus D6. The key thing here is determining when there's a grace period and then there's the overdue period. The grace period would be anything that hasn't been paid by this due date. So 110 has been paid, but 115 should be overdue. 120 is overdue. 125 is overdue. Why is 2/4/2029 still open? Because it's not past the due date. That's really what all we're doing here is we put an if statement. Here's probably the shorter version. We probably should have just read this, huh? Use a nested if formula with the today function. I didn't use the today function, but you can. Where you see where it says C6 or C5 right here, you could put the today function in here. It'll just work off today, but clearly today versus 2029. If paid, you can see I use this first approach. You can use the today approach. This example's current date is shown in F2. F2, that's whatever your date is. That would be the current date. The flow of nested if statements is from outer if statement to inner. We look here, we want to go if F2 is less than C5. I've already explained this. F2, right here, is less than C5. So in other words, it's less than 2/4. It's open. And if not, overdue. But we're also testing if it's been paid, fine. You notice there's two if statements here? if F5 is equal to 0, paid. If F2 is less than C5, open, otherwise overdue. If you're not used to working with multiple ifs, you're seeking two possibilities. Remember, if something, do something. Let's look at here. Logical test. Here's our logical test. Value of true. Logical test, right here. Logical test. Value of true. Value of false. We're asking if it's paid, value of true, then put paid. Then you can put value of false. In other words, if it has been paid, it's either open or overdue. And all you do is put another if statement in there. Practice on this one. You can put ifs and ands and all kinds of other stuff in here if you want, but just focus on this one, break this one apart. Be sure to check out our extensive courses, which include Excel data and text manipulation for advanced users, beginners, intermediate. We also have this great essentials, the A to Z for advanced users, the comprehensive beginner level 1 and 2. Then we have our advanced formulas, strictly formulas, great set of courses, which we have a beginner level 1 and beginner level 2, this intermediate level, and we have this advanced level. Click on any of the links. There's a short video that explains everything about the course. Check it out. Think through what you're trying to do. Remember, if condition is met, do something. Otherwise, do not. I'll repeat. You have the logical test, and that is if F5 is equal to 0. Well, how would you know if it's 0? If it's paid, it's 0. How do we know? Go back in here, go here, and hit logical test. F9, and it says true. Go back down here. Does F6 equal 0? Logical test, F9, false. If it's false, what does it say to do? It says go over here and check this other condition. If F2 is less than 6, open, otherwise overdue. Go through and remember, play around with this, hit the F9s, highlight stuff. Okay, you can highlight this and see what happens. F9, it's going to get the same result. If you highlight this, I don't know, this is just a matter of trial and error. F9, and it's going to say false. If false, open, otherwise overdue. We already know here it's false. So go back here, F9, and it says false. And it goes over here. Well, it's false. Is it open or overdue? Yeah, Excel can throw in a lot of curves. This is one of those curves. If you're not used to it, deciphering it may take a little bit of time, but spend the time on it. Become an expert. Brad Williams, Excel Primed.